Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. Bobby Cannavale is returning to Broadway in Roundabout Theatre Company's new production of Clifford Odets' The Big Knife. Under the direction of Tony Award winner Doug Hughes, it will open on April 16th at the American Airlines Theatre. And I'm here at the Roundabout Rehearsal Studios where they talked about this exciting new production. Tell me your history with this play.
I fished this play out of a remainder bin in a secondhand bookstore. I mean, it might have been the Strand, about 25 years ago or more, when I was a very callow associate artistic director at the Manhattan Theatre Club. And we were always looking for plays that had maybe not gotten the attention they deserved. And this one was certainly one that I felt, once I read it, I mean, the realm of the play, this fascinating realm of Hollywood and the exertion of power of a huge studio. I mean, it has a kind of Shakespearean power play aspect to it. There's a king and there's a valuable prince and there are a number of men who drive women utterly mad. Richard III or King John or come to mind. And I think Odets wanted to take this this place that he knew and knew well, Hollywood, and construct a big dramatic tale about the intense difficulty of preserving ideals while you are serving profit.
I love your analogy of this.
Well, I mean, it's people get down to things here. They play for keeps. And it's a period in American history. I mean, it grew out of the late 40s. We'd won the war. We'd all come back. We were the biggest kid on the block. We were told it was going to be the American century. And who were we? And what did we stand for? And what did we want? I mean, it's the time that all the great film noir movies came out of. Double Indemnity, Out of the Past come to mind. Pictures that I remain fascinated by, and I think we're all remain fascinated by. They're sexy, they're scary, and they insist that we ask some difficult questions.
And how did you and Bobby get together to do this?
We did a play 6 years ago at the Manhattan Theatre Club called Mauritius, which was a blast. I just adored working with him. I'd known him a long time. We bumped into each other years ago down at Louisville. I was doing a John Shanley play, and he was working on something else. And I just always have adored Bobby, on and off stage. I mean, he's somebody who really remembers the joy of working on stage, and that is a fantastic commodity. But anyway, doing this play Mauritius, and there was a pause or a break or the set broke down or something like that, and we were just chatting. And we managed to stumble onto the fact that we were both fans of The Big Knife. He'd seen it in a production that Joan Woodward had directed 15, 16 years ago at Williamstown. I hadn't seen that. I hadn't even known about it. But it became this shared enthusiasm of ours, and we talk about it periodically, and it looked like there was the possibility of getting something going, and I called Bobby up about a year ago, and we met and talked, and we still felt as fervently about the play, so we put a reading together and took it out for a spin, and we believe our enthusiasm was really warranted.
I just love the look of the show, too. Your set designer, your costume designer.
Well, all three of us are really great lovers. John Lee Beatty's done the set, and Kathy Zuber's done these staggering costumes. And the set, John Lee is from California. All three of us are infatuated with that era, what was going on in architecture, what was going on in fashion, the notion of Hollywood. I mean, we're talking about a realm of American gods and goddesses. They live high up on hills in places that have this kind of Olympian scale and beauty to them. And that's where Charlie lives. And John Lee has created this staggering structure that is that is Charlie's realm, the playroom, as it's called in the play. I'm not sure about this, but I believe it's the only play of Odette's that has unity of place. It takes place in one set. And Kathy has, I've done a play set in the 40s with her before, Born Yesterday. She outdid herself there, and she's done so again. I think that all these vivid characters, and she has found ways to exemplify their being brilliantly in her work on this show. So, and it's just fun. It's fun and sexy to look into that realm of the dangerous glamour of the 40s, the late 40s.
So, talk about the play. Did you know it?
I did, yeah. I saw a production of this play about 16 years ago up at the Williamstown Theater Festival, and a fine production directed by Joanne Woodward. And I didn't know the play, and I was already a fan of Odette's, but it was mostly the pre-war plays, the ones we all know, Waiting for Lefty and Golden Boy, Wake and Sing, Rocket to the Moon. I didn't know this play. And I saw it, and I remember just being completely immobile afterwards. I couldn't move. I was so knocked out by it. It really resonated deeply with me. It's also where I met Richard Kind playing the same role, and I said, oh, I got to see him do that again. And so I've really been squawking about it for about 15 years. And then I worked with Doug about 6 years ago at the Manhattan Theater Club in Mauritius, and I said, hey man, take a look at this play. I think you'd like it. And he did like it. And it took us all this time. I got a phone call last year from Doug saying, Todd Haynes wants to do something with you. Why don't we take a look at The Big Knife? We did a reading of it, and then we went ahead and did a reading, and the next day we got the call that we were going to get a production at the American Airlines.
That's great. Talk about the role, what you love about him so far.
Well, the play is written post-war, and I think Odette's is really well known for those early plays. They're post-Depression, pre-war plays when the country had more of an idealistic nature. We came back from the war, and we'd won the war, and we sort of began this quest of being number one, and what that means, and having more of a capitalist mentality. And so here we have this character who had a theater career before the war, goes off to Hollywood, becomes a bit of a star, then fights in the war, comes back to Hollywood, becomes a big star, and begins to lose his ideals, that big knife that's sort of coming in between what he really believes in and what he stands for now. And I find that struggle to be an interesting struggle, not just for artists, but for Americans in general. How do we stick to what we know is the right thing for ourselves, for the people that we love, and for humanity, and the competition that we're constantly in with the need to be the best, to beat the competition, to have more. How much is enough? I think these are just questions that resonate no matter what time we're in, and I think it resonates now.
Yeah, and working with Doug Hughes again.
Yeah, working with Doug is incredible. I don't think there's a smarter guy in the game. I mean, the guy does his homework. He's thorough. He's erudite. I can listen to him talk endlessly, and he brings a real intellectual know-how to how the play works. I often say to Doug, my heart's open, man. I mean, I'm here to provide the heart. I need him to get into my head and tell me and work with me on how we unfold this play, because it is a play that unfolds, and one that we have to be careful not to get ahead of the audience, that the audience doesn't get ahead of us, rather. And he's brilliant at that, and I just love working with him. He's got a really nice touch with me.
And a dynamite cast you're working with. It's a big cast.
Yeah, it's a great cast, a real theater cast, and great mix of downtown artists and uptown artists. You got Adam Rapp, who I'm just thrilled, making his acting debut. Marin Ireland, who I've always wanted to work with. I've done tons of readings and workshops with her, and now here we are getting to rehearse together. Richard Kind, who originated this role, it's where I became good friends with him. So it's fun. Brenda Wheel, and Chip Zien, Anna Reeder, Rachel Brosnahan, who people are going to be really knocked out by, and Joey Slotnick, and Reg Rogers, who I've always wanted to work with. I like to call, we got a lot of chops in the room. And it's exciting to be in a play. You know, it's not often that you see plays with 12 characters, 11, 12 characters in them. They just don't write them anymore. And so it's really fun to work with this caliber of talent. And you know, the other thing about the play that always attracted me, that I always loved about it, was that Charlie Castle comes on stage in the very first moments of the play, and he never leaves the stage. And it's sort of like, you know, it's like a fever dream. You know, Doug likes to say it's the day that the chickens have come home to roost, because they come in through the back, they come in through the side, they come in through the front, and it's all people trying to get at Charlie Castle, and you know how he deals with that, and it's sort of like there's a dream aspect to it that that I find really exciting and challenging to play. And when you have these kinds of actors and you get to play with them every day, I have like an hour or two with each actor who comes in, and I get to have great scenes with, and yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled.
And working at Roundabout, what it's been like for you so far, the Roundabout family?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, the Roundabout. You know, I got a big break at the Roundabout. You know, I was an understudy there in 1997 for a play called A Flea in Her Ear that Bill Irwin directed, a Feydeau farce at the Old Space, the Criterion Center, and you know, I'd been a reader for them for auditions for about a year, a little over, more than a year, for Jim Carnahan and Julie Tucker at the time. So I would be the guy who would read with the actors that were coming in. And then Bill Irwin asked me if I wanted to be the understudy, and I did. And then I went on the week after we opened that play, because the actor I was covering got a movie, and I got to go on for a few weeks, and that's how I got my first television show. So it's special to go back. I haven't worked there since, and they've been really, really great, starting with Todd Hames, who has been supportive of this idea since I brought it up to him, and the swiftness with which they made that decision is really impressive, you know, and a sign of somebody who can make decisions decisively and for the right reasons, and so I'm really grateful for that.